This technique is for the wrist and finger extensors. It can be useful for some of our fairly acute or reactive tendinopathies, our tennis elbows, if you like, where we're just trying to do the work of the wrist and finger extensors and allow that to settle down a little bit so that we can reintroduce the load in a way in which it can tolerate it. It can also be useful for some of our neurological conditions, our radial nerves, and things where we're trying to assist where they're weak through those wrist and finger extensors. So we've taken the 2-inch tape here, the 5 centimetre tape, and just split it to run off the fingers here. The other aspect that's nice for some of those tennis elbows is that if people are misusing their hand and really strongly gripping with their index and thumb, or their middle finger and thumb, which are really our fine motor manipulation fingers, our power grip should come from our ulnar two-sided plus or minus our middle finger. So often people are hammering or doing something and they're really overworking these, and so with correct instruction, a bit of advice, by taping off here, it helps discourage them from overusing those fingers a little bit to allow everything to settle down. If you find on your examination that when you do resisted extension of that first finger, that index finger, isn't painful, then perhaps you don't need to start off that. You may just start off the others. You can even use the 3-inch or 7.5 centimetre tape and come off 3 fingers if you prefer. Occasionally we don't want to come off the fingers at all. We may just start on the wrist if finger extension isn't painful, or if for some reason we don't want to start on the fingers. So we've just split the tape and torn the backing paper so that comes off easily. And we're just going to start well down the fingers so that we have a nice long lever arm and a nice area of anchor points so that we don't create a blister. Make sure that you split the tape far enough that you can get down onto the hand and you don't create an artificial web space between their fingers. Bring them into this short position. I just tend to get them to rest on my chest. I need them in extension. Now it's important here that you don't just put one end on, like a bridging technique that you sometimes see with kinesiology type tapes. If we just put the 2 ends on first and then stick it down, we really focus the force on those ends. We're more likely to see a blister occurring because the forces are much, much higher in this sort of tape than in a kinesiology tape. So we keep them in extension, we anchor down with our thumb, we try to stick as much of the tape down as we can and then put the anchor on without any tension. If they are a tennis elbow or lateral epicondylalgia, it can be pain relieving to then do a box offload technique, and some older research has shown improvements in pressure pain thresholds, improvements in pain-free grip with boxing type techniques around the shoulder, around the lateral epicondyle. So we can anchor through here, box all that tissue up, and then stick down and still leave a nice anchor point at the other end that has no tension. We can then pull out here, pull these skin creases out to make sure there's no folds under the tape, and then hold it very, very well. You may find it useful to lock around the fingers with an athletic tape or a Hyperfix, Fixamol, something along those lines. What you'll see is the resting position of the hands changed quite dramatically, and if we just flop the hand up and down, you can see that we get this energy storage and release coming in, bringing that hand right back up above the horizontal. So if we want to have more of a wrist extension, cocking, a little bit more power, we can actually start underneath the hand to really get good purchase on that hand, and then in extension sweep around almost like a figure 8 and come around from both directions to lock that down. That will cock the wrist up. They can still get through full range because the tape allows full range, but when they relax it wants to spring them back up, which is a far more functional position, particularly for some of our strokes or radial nerve injuries that have no active wrist extension. It can allow them to be more functional. So we can see the resting position here with the wrist hanging down. With the tape on, we'll see that that comes up quite a lot. And when we shake the hand up and down, even with quite a strong shake, we don't really get even to sort of the horizontal, or actually probably 45 degrees or so. So with the tape on, we'll see this energy storage and release coming in, doing some of the work of those wrist and finger extensors.